Hello everyone, Kevin Gergley here from Techformality, the blog that focuses on tech guides, tech news, and tech reviews. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at how to install a Windows operating system on your computer. In my situation, I will be installing a new operating system on a virtual machine. So it's somewhat similar. There's a few key things to check before getting started. So with that being said, stick with me for just a minute and we'll jump right into it. Okay, so there's a few reasons why you might want to install or reinstall an operating system. In some situations, when malware and viruses and different malicious software gets installed on your computer and antiviruses can't fully remove them, or the files are encrypted, or certain things like that, there are reasons such as that to reinstall Windows. It could be that you just built a new computer and you're trying to reinstall or install Windows for the first time. And then in a situation that you're upgrading an operating system from an older version of Windows to a newer one, that could be a reason as well. So no matter what the reason is, they're pretty much all the same in the aspect of installing a new operating system or reinstalling. So the first thing we're going to talk about is whenever you are prepping to reinstall Windows. The first step is to ensure to get your partitions right on your hard drives. So in my situation here, I'm going to show you my PC here, and as you can see, I have multiple partitions. I got a C drive, which is my Windows operating system, is installed on here. I got a D drive, which is a partition on my additional hard drive. This first one is an SSD. This one and this one are both hard drives. These are actually the same hard drive, but the partitions are separated into two different sections. One is for virtual machines, one is for disk, just any kind of applications that I have installed on the computer. But anyways, as you're looking at these, the first thing to check is to always look at your total size or your capacity of each drive. Whenever you go to install Windows, it will prompt you where do you want to install Windows at. So if you mistakenly select the wrong drive, or for example, in my case, I have two drives. One is an SSD, one is a hard drive. If I mistakenly selected the hard drive instead of the SSD, which I want to install on, it would cause some problems down the road for performance and different things like that. And then in addition, you'll want to most likely wipe the drive before installing on it or creating a new partition for it or different things like that. So you'll just want to make sure that you have the right drive selected prior to continuing to the next step. So just double check your sizes, make sure the capacity is proper, and take note of those. You can write them down on a piece of paper or just mentally remember the sizes of each of your drives. And then you can also go, if you right click on your Windows icon down here on Windows 10, you can hit disk management and it will give you all the information about your specific disk as well. So as you can see here, I have a C, E, and this is D. So these are my three drives. These are partitions within one of the drives. These are system files on these drives that are automatically created, so that's why these are listed here. There's a 99 megabyte here, an 822 megabyte here, and a 450 recovery partition. This one's EFI system partition, and this one is recovery partition. So these are all generally automatically created by Windows, so those are there as well. And then these are my two, this is my regular hard drive here, which has the virtual machines and just the E drive here. So with that being said, what you'll want to do is get some Windows media, either if you have a Windows disk or a flash drive. The easiest way to install Windows 10 is actually if you Google, you can actually Google from Microsoft, Windows 10 Media Creation Tool. And it will be the first one here, download Windows 10 disk image, ISO image. And you can actually click download tool now. Now this tool will check to make sure that your current version of Windows has an activated license and it is a legit license. So just keep that in mind that Microsoft does double check your activation. The way activation works in Windows 10 is it's actually a digital activation service. So once you install Windows for the first time on a computer, it actually registers your license to your serial number either on your hard drive or your motherboard. So in the case that you do happen to get a new hard drive or motherboard, you may have issues with activation. But if you contact Microsoft, they should be able to change that key over to the new device if you do let them know about that issue. So basically, you would click Download Tool Now. It will ask you, some questions once you download it. Do you want to put it on a flash drive or a disk drive or a CD, whatever it may ask you? Just go through there, and there's some steps on here using this tool. Here's some basic information to read through using the tool. Some more documentation here. So you would have to have one of these current version of Windows to upgrade to Windows 10. Now this tool was actually created to upgrade from Windows 7 or XP or some of the older operating systems to Windows 10 whenever it came out. So with that being said, we're going to jump right into the tutorial here. So just say you already have your media. I'm actually going to be installing Windows 7 on a virtual machine. I'm going to be testing here. Let me see here. So we have VMware Workstation that we're working with today. We're going to go ahead and create a new virtual machine. And now, if you're actually installing on your actual computer, you can actually disregard this first step just as I go through and create the new virtual machine. So give me 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and create the virtual machine, and I'm going to go ahead and boot up into Windows. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so I did go through and set up my settings here for the virtual machine. So now I'm going to actually right-click on the virtual machine and click Settings. And this is basically going to be adding my media so that it will boot to Windows. So you go ahead and hit Use ISO Image. If you are doing this with a Windows disk, put the disk in. And you might have to go into BIOS to change your boot setup. So I believe that's F10 or F8, depending on what your computer is. And then it'll actually ask you which media you wish to boot from. So you would select your CD drive or your flash drive, depending on what you're using there. So I'm going to go ahead into my Windows media here that I just actually received. So here is the Windows 7 ISO. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And I'm going to hit OK once again, and it will boot with that ISO image. So we're going to go ahead and hit power on this virtual machine. And as you can see here, it is starting to boot up, and it's automatically booting into the Windows 7 operating system setup. So let's let this go ahead and load for a minute. Whenever we do get something on the screen, I will be back with you. Okay, so we just got loaded into the Windows 7 operating system setup screen here. And basically it asks some simple questions: which language you wish to install, which time and currency, and which keyboard method do you wish to use. So we're going to go ahead and click Next on that. And there's some options here, what to know before installing Windows, or you can actually repair your computer. So if you do have corrupt Windows files, you can actually click on this Repair Your Computer, and it will attempt to repair your computer without actually having to reinstall the operating system. So in this case, we're going to click Install Now. And the setup will go ahead and start, and it will take just a minute here to load. Whenever it is loading, just give it a few minutes, depending on your computer processing power. It might take a little longer. So here's the terms and services of Windows 7. So we're going to go ahead and click Accept and Next. And you have two options here. You can either upgrade your operating system. So if you have a older Windows operating system, in this case would be Windows XP or Windows Vista, you can upgrade to Windows 7. Now you can also click Custom. Advanced is what we're going to click on, and this will install a new copy of Windows. So now this is where you would want to use or refer back to those notes that you had made about your hard drives. Because I'm on a virtual machine, there's not multiple drives, but if this were my actual computer, you would see here there would be several partitions listed for my SSD and my hard drive. So you just want to make sure you click on that correct drive that you're going to be installing on. So mine is disk 0, unallocated space, because I did create a new virtual hard drive. Now, if there is items on this drive, so if you're reinstalling Windows and you want to wipe that drive, you would click on Drive Options and then Advanced. You click on the drive itself, and then you would click Format. Now, if you wanted to get rid of all your partitions, you would basically click down through them and then click Delete on here. As you click Delete, they would all merge into one partition. So those are some things to keep in mind. You can also create a new partition. So if I wanted to create a new partition on this, I can provide a size for Windows operating system. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to create a new partition, but you can actually create a size here. So let's just do 10,000 for demonstration purposes. As you can see here, it does create a new partition then. So you can see partition 1 is the system reserve, partition 2 is the 9.7 gigs, and then the 110 gigs are the leftover space. So we're going to go ahead and create. So now that we have multiples of these, just say this one had some data on it that you were sure was the correct partition to erase. You would click on the drive, click Format, click OK, and it will go ahead and format that drive for you. And then if you wanted to delete these, you would click on one, click on Delete, click on OK, and as you can see, all the partitions are now going back into that unallocated space for one specific partition. So now that you know what drive you want to install on, you click on that drive, you click Next, and now you just wait as Windows goes ahead and does its thing of copying the files, expanding Windows files, installing features, installing updates, and then it completes the installation. So we're going to go ahead and pause here and let this finish, and once we get back into the actual operating system, it will reboot by itself, and we will be back onto the Windows interface. So give me a second, and we'll be back here in a minute. Okay, just a quick note here. We just restarted as it prompted us to. If you don't click on Restart now, it'll automatically restart for you. So as we're booting back onto the Windows, something to keep in mind is after that restart, you have to make sure that your boot sequence is set properly. If it is set that it will boot to the CD drive first, it will actually attempt to relaunch the CD from the beginning, and it will look like an endless loop, like you're trying to reinstall Windows again after you just installed it. So to fix that, you just go back into BIOS and then go into the boot sequence and set your booting device to be the hard drive instead of the CD or DVD drive first. So as we came back in here, it's just running a few more things, completing the installation. So we will let this proceed, and once it's finished, we will be back with you here in another minute. Okay, so after that last restart, we are greeted here with the Windows 7 Ultimate screen, and it's basically just asking us for a username for your account. So you just basically put in your username that you would like to use. For a computer name, you can change this to anything you would like. I'm just going to leave it as default admin-PC. So you go and click on Next. You create a password if you wish to. It's recommended. You don't have to create a password, so we're not going to. We're just going to click Next. And here is asking you for your product key. So if you do have that product key handy, go ahead and enter it now. I'm actually going to uncheck this and click Skip, and we will install the product key later after we get everything reinstalled. So we're going to go ahead and click on Use Recommended Settings here, and this will actually be for your Windows updates and different things like that. So we're just going to use Recommended Settings. Here you set your time zone, so I'm going to go ahead and set my time zone to Eastern. Click on Next, and it asks you what your current network is. So I'm going to go ahead and select Home Network. It will go ahead and apply these firewall settings. Just take another minute here, and once we get through this screen, we should be pretty much completed with the install. And now you can see Windows is finalizing, and now we are booting into the Windows 7 operating system itself. Now, a few things to keep in mind whenever you do reinstall Windows. The majority of the time, the drivers that you need for your computer are automatically installed. If they are not, they are downloaded by Windows Updates. For whatever reason, if there is an issue with a driver or device on your computer, it might not install the drivers automatically. So if that's the case, the best recommendation is to download the drivers through a different website on a computer that actually has internet access, because some of the time the Ethernet driver does not get installed. So if that's the case, you don't have internet access, so you'd have to use a different device in order to download those drivers. You would have to know what kind of network card you have and basically go to that website for the network driver or network adapter, and you can download the drivers directly off their website. So in our situation here, after installing the virtual machine, it looks to be that everything was installed properly. I have a network access. I have speakers. The only thing that I notice is the monitor resolution is not set properly. So we'll go ahead and bump this up a little bit. And now we have a full screen of Windows. So now the next steps to do would be to go into Windows Updates and install the latest updates. So if we go ahead and check for updates here, you will see that there will be some updates that are found. So let's go ahead and pause for a second and let's see what kind of updates are found. So as you can see here, I actually received an update for Windows updating service. This is most likely due to the fact that I have not entered a product key. So if you enter your product key and check for updates, it should allow you to activate without any issues. Now, as I said, with Windows 10, it is a digital activation, so you will most likely be activated automatically after restarting and installing Windows. So another thing to check really quick, after you check and install your Windows updates, you can go in and install all your programs again. But the main thing is to get that Windows activated. As you can see, everything is working properly. I have my network driver installed, so I'm going to be able to go to the websites and internet. As you can see here, we are being directed to Google. Maybe this is an older version of Windows, so I do have to install the latest updates. So to activate Windows, that was my next thing here. If you go into Windows 10, if you just type in activate, it should come up with an activation thing in the settings. If you're on computer, or Windows 7, you can right click on computer, click on properties, and you can see down here, Windows activation, there's 3 days left. You would click on change product key, enter your product key here, hit next, and go through the setup, and it will activate Windows for you like that. Now, my internet is not working properly, but that could be due to the fact that I'm on a virtual machine and I do not have the correct settings enabled for this VM. So just take note of that as well. There you go. It's starting to come up now. And this is an older version of Windows, as I said, so there you go. You have internet access now. This is an older browser, so we would have to get the latest browser or download Google Chrome or Firefox or something like that. Now, if you did have different partitions set up with your programs and files on it, you would see it here in computer. So if I had multiple partitions created, I would see all those partitions here. If I had multiple drives, it would show those drives as well. If for whatever reason it does not show them after reinstalling, you can go into Disk Management, create and format hard disk partitions, and they would all be listed within here. So you would be able to activate them from here if they're marked as inactive, or let's see here. So you can actually activate or mark these as active or inactive depending on the status. So if they are inactive, you can actually mark them as active. So you can see right, where was I just at there? Mark partition as active. So if it was marked on inactive for some reason, that would be the solution to that. That should be about it for this video. I will be doing a future video on how to install and set up a virtual machine in VMware. If you wanted to go ahead and create a virtual machine for any reason, I will provide a tutorial for that as well. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and we will see you guys in the next one. And please do like, comment, and subscribe. Also, check out my tech blog, techformality.com, which focuses on tech guides, tech news, and tech reviews. And if you go to the website there, you can actually click on the top right corner. There's a contact button. If you have any concerns or comments or questions for me, just ask me there, and I will respond to you as soon as I possibly can. And I appreciate you guys watching the video and hope it helps somebody out, and I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.